This video is brought to you by Aura. M3GAN, otherwise known as M3GAN, has taken the world by storm. Everyone has M3GAN fever. Yesterday I woke up in a cold sweat. I had chills, a headache, sore throat, looked under my pillow, a ticket from M3GAN. It is sweeping the nation. If you've been to the movies at any point in the last few months, or if you've been at all on film Twitter, 1, I'm sorry for you. 2, you've probably seen something about M3GAN. It's Chucky for girls, basically, but she also dances. Based just on the trailer, this thing looked like a blast and a half. I was admittedly pumped for it, even though the odds of it being awful were also pretty high. Regardless, I was gonna see it opening day, which I did. And I got answers for you. Is M3GAN worth seeing? What is M3GAN? Why is M3GAN? Let's get into it. M3GAN is directed by Gerard Johnstone and written by James Wan and Akela Cooper. It's about an AI robot named M3GAN designed by a roboticist named Gemma, played by Allison Williams. When her niece loses both her parents and she's forced to be her caretaker, she gives her a prototype of M3GAN, which obviously ends horribly. In many ways, yes, it is exactly like Child's Play. But I will say that this film stands apart on its own just enough to where that doesn't entirely matter, and it ends up justifying its existence as Chucky for girls. So to be honest, while I do like Child's Play, I do think M3GAN's story makes just a little bit more sense than that one. M3GAN's whole existence comes from Gemma, the roboticist. There's no supernatural, ghostly element that makes M3GAN evil. It's just basically a technology is bad Black Mirror type story. But honestly, you gotta give the movie credit. Technology is scary and dangerous, which is why I'm excited to partner with today's sponsor, Aura. Aura is an easy-to-use app that includes everything you need to stay safe online. Aura protects you from scammers and hackers by scanning the so-called dark web, where criminals sell stolen information, looking for your emails, passwords, and social security numbers. It alerts you fast if anything happens. You ever get tired of those robocalls? Because I sure do. They help you fight back against the annoying websites that make your personal information public by automatically requesting removal of your info. This helps reduce robocalls. Aura also gives you near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries, like if someone was trying to open a loan or credit card in your name. Speaking for myself, back in September, they notified me that a new credit account was detected, something I never would have known about if not for Aura. Their VPN allows you to stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history and personal information safe and encrypted. And on top of all of that, they protect your devices from viruses, malware, spyware, and more so that bad guys can't break in. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online. If you sign up right now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with my link. You will be shocked at how much of your private information Aura finds exposed over those 2 weeks. Go to aura.com/Karsten to start your free trial, also linked below in the description, or scan the QR code. Now let's get back into the video. Let's talk about the Black Mirror comparison, because I think it gets across why I kind of enjoyed this movie at the end of the day. Something many people will come out of this saying is that it is not even remotely scary, like at all. It obviously is sold like a horror movie. It technically is a horror movie, and while there are certain scenes that have some tension that might make you lean forward a bit, nobody is going to be having nightmares about M3GAN. I would show this to most children, and I have mixed feelings about that. The thing is, I never thought they were selling this as a genuine horror movie. They have her dancing in the trailer, for Pete's sake. And literally in the first second of this movie, they make it clear this thing has a sense of humor. It's made abundantly clear that M3GAN is more of a horror comedy than a straight up horror movie, and I will say it is actually funny. There's a scene in here that I can't spoil because it would take away the shock and hilarity of it, but it has to do with a middle school boy, and it's brilliant. It's such a good bit that it makes you wish the rest of the movie was as good as that, because M3GAN is at its best when it is just completely off the wall bonkers. The more grounded moments are when it loses you, which does happen to be the first 20 minutes of the movie. I wouldn't blame people if they came out disappointed or confused on how to feel, just because the first 20 minutes of setup in this movie is played so straight, and not in a way that ever really hooks you in either. It's just in a kind of let's get through this way. But once M3GAN shows up, it basically just keeps getting crazier and never looks back. The reason I have mixed feelings on this thing's tone is that I wish it was a bit crazier at times. You know, I don't like the fact that I can show this to most kids. I wish it was rated R, just to put it simply, because the killing stuff is good. I could watch M3GAN kill people all day. It is so funny to watch. I love going from that to listening to M3GAN sing like David Guetta songs. It's so brilliant. There's one kill in here that is so cleverly done and so silly and built up perfectly that it honestly reminded me of Evil Dead 2, which, let me just say, is high praise coming from me because that's one of the best horror comedies ever made. And that's the thing, when M3GAN was wrapping up, I realized this did have the potential to be as good as something as Evil Dead 2. But, you know, it kind of holds back a little bit. But to loop things back to Black Mirror, I think as far as technology as bad media goes, this is one of the better ones, solely because it isn't preachy and has some actual honest-to-God fun with the subject. There's absolutely nothing subtle about this movie. Its critique of AI and modern tech is so obvious and never feels like it talks down on the viewer. Even the final shot of the film, which is a tongue-in-cheek way of saying M3GANs are all around us, it doesn't feel like an eye roller at all, at least to me. In all honesty, it just is a silly way to to end the movie and kind of matches the tone of everything else. Had this film taken this earnest, genuinely scary approach to this evil robot, it would have felt like something we'd already seen in Black Mirror, going places we all saw coming from a mile away. I don't think I want this movie to be scarier, I just wanted it to be more ridiculous. Make it just as funny and absurd, but really go crazy. But even as is, because this thing instead skews comedic rather than scary, and succeeds with the comedy, it makes for a genuinely kind of refreshing experience for this kind of movie, even if it's not the best possible thing it can be. Let's talk a little bit about these performances. Allison Williams, we all know from Get Out, is fine in this. I thought she played this shitty, self-centered caretaker figure pretty much exactly how she needed to. It could have been a sillier performance, but I think a film like this needed the straight character. Violet McGraw, who plays the niece, Megan's best friend in the whole wide world, now she did a great job. She is going so much harder than anyone asked her to go for this role. She is in a different movie entirely. She felt like a real kid with real kid responses and was so perfectly sort of invested and sort of not. And then there's Ronnie Chang as this sort of villainous CEO character. I thought he was great. A lot of these actors are just overdoing it so much, which I thought was kind of awkward at first. I couldn't tell if it was bad in a bad way or bad in a good way. But as the film started to get more absurd, I thought they matched the tone pretty well, and I just kind of leaned into it. At one point, it literally felt like I was watching a John Waters movie, if that makes sense. So yeah, god damn it. I just have mixed feelings on this movie. I also thought the entire time that it was directed by James Wan and was really surprised at just how tame it was for him, but knowing it wasn't directed by him not only makes sense, but now makes me wish he was behind the camera, because the cinematography is really nothing that special. The score is one of those that feels like it was basically just copy and pasted from some other movie. The script is phenomenal and full of personality, and it just sucks that the film's direction doesn't seem to reach that same level. I got a lot of jumbled thoughts on this, which is so funny for a movie as stupid as M3GAN, but I guess to summarize, M3GAN is good. It's extremely fun and self-aware in a way that's hard not to laugh with, but I also wish it leaned into the goofiness just a bit more, and that maybe it was directed in a more interesting way, which is such a better outcome than I was expecting that I'm like, I don't even really care. I thought it was going to be awful, so to call it just short of a masterpiece is not a bad thing. One thing I will say though is when we got out of the theater, I mentioned to my girlfriend that despite its shortcomings, M3GAN did feel like a new classic. Even classic horror movies have their shortcomings. Child's Play isn't a flawless masterpiece either. And despite M3GAN's missed opportunities, the humor, the dancing, her strange, sometimes auto-tuned voice, it's insane, right? And the fun of it all makes it something I feel like people are going to continue to discover and grow to love for years. So basically, I'll see you guys in 2025 for the inevitable M3GAN sequel that properly gets the Paddington 2 treatment and is called one of the decade's best. But for now, I'll just say thanks for watching, go see M3GAN and form your own opinion, and I'll see y'all on the next one.